All right, I gave up trying to do it live. I'm just going to make a quick video here in the display barn. Quick may be relative because this place is even more awesome than the Hall of Fame. We're standing in front of what would have been a general store in the day. Pots and pans and flue pieces and of course the mill for grinding, even a cooler in the background there for some nice cold refreshment. Trinkets in the front display case. Let's see if I can get a good look at some of the things on the cabinet back there. Get us a little closer, maybe. The lighting in here is a little weak. Come on, camera. Oh well. But you get the general idea. It's a general store. Sorry, that was a bad pun. So we're going to pan around and look around. And I mean, this is such a collection of everyday stuff. Ooh, wait, I'm standing before the judge. And this looks like, sure enough, leg irons, the old ball and chain. Sorry, guys, I had to say it. Again, coming south or north on I-75, it is worth getting off and taking a look at this museum. It is chock full of American history. And I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible. When you realize there's an old post office, when you realize exactly how much history you're standing in places like this, it's a little humbling. You know, we take so much for granted. I mean, this was the weapon of the day. That was how they put food on the table and defended their home. An early shotgun. The thing is, I remember my grandfather having one of these. We called it rabbit ears. Got the two little pullback hammers. I think my cousin Ted got that one, dang it. But I mean, this place is absolutely chock full of all kinds of implements of the day. They have a mock-up of a clay cooking area that was made out of daub, which was mud, straw, packed together and dried and then hardened with the fire. The iron bowls and cups, and even a check it out. Yes, indeed, an old spittoon. I guess that was before the days of being politically correct and no tobacco campus. Washboards, more cooking pots, jerky cutter. What about that? And since Michelle Hurley was watching earlier, here's their idea of a lawnmower. Wow. Beautiful quilts, all kinds of handmade items. You see here where they start with the flaxing machine, turning it into cord and thread. And they have cotton cards where they would have used to comb the cotton and start getting it organized into threading material. Some examples here of some Lindsay Woolly items. Again, another, I started to say cotton card, but I move away from the camera. I can see it's actually It's actually a flax. It's actually flax hackle. This is where I think they would drag the flax through to break it down into the fibers. Not real familiar with weaving, but apparently they were. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? And they have an excellent display here of spinning wheels, large and small. They have at least one really nice barn loom. Now, I've seen a few looms in our travels, and it's my understanding the barn looms could be taken down and moved on a wagon. Obviously, you wouldn't want to move this any other way, but if you look, you can knock out some pins and take the loom structure apart, and then it's a matter of when you relocate, rebuild your loom. Different shuttles and bobbins. Examples here, see if I can get a good shot. There we go. That would have been a shuttle, another couple of shuttles. Look at that. Wow. A wood hauling wagon. An apple peeler? Wow, I'm impressed. Look at that. Got a big wheel, a little mechanical advantage, and it just cores the apple and peels the apple right there. All manner of displays here. See if I can get some that don't have quite the reflection. Yeah, there we go. Pieces of guns, bullets, things that have been found and dug up, all types of locks. I am not real sure what this processed. I would say it was possibly corn, but then they had whetstones for sharpening their instruments, grinding stones that were in the mill. And then one of the most important people besides the blacksmith in most towns was the guy they called a cooper, that could make the barrels, the pails. And the art of cooperage is something that I think is lost today. There's not very many coopers around, I don't believe. But you can see the beginnings of, move around the post, you can see the beginnings of different types of storage containers, whether they be staved barrels, hollowed out trunks of all shape and size. Look at that. Again, if you're traveling on I-75, I'm going to give a plug for this place because it's absolutely incredible. The leather worker's shop here, where he's tending saddle gear. By all means, do a Google search. Get your directions for the Museum of Appalachia and drop in. The admission is well within anyone's budget. $5 I don't think will break the bank for anybody. Give up one of those real high-priced coffee drinks and you're in to see some real American history. The evolution of the axe. For all my bushcrafting buddies. Check these things out, man. Come on, focus. They're absolutely unreal. And these were the basic tools of the day. I'm standing looking at the axe display, and I look down near what I'm standing in front of, and these are stone basins. I'll see if I can get a good shot of the. Let's see if it'll stay focused. give you a chance to see that the water from a spring was fed into the basin through a wooden pipe, providing a never-ending flow. Now, I'm not quite sure how they go about making stone basins, but I have to say this was probably a welcome addition to many homesteads. Here's a dairy trough. Again, it's a stone dairy trough. We'll move right along into the woodworking shop here, my favorite place. And I'm going to have to back up so that you can see this wood lathe. You see the big flywheel in the top drives the actual headstock here, where you would have the rubber cordage was probably actually taking a turn around this to provide a little friction, but you would place your wooden piece in here to the tail end, to the tailstock. Let me get where I can see here. You've got a tool rest. And what powered this lathe? Well, if you look at the bottom, right there, that big old wooden bar running across there actually moved the jack post, which is the wooden piece going straight up here, up and down, and turned this crank, which gave it the rotation. And I don't want to rotate it, but it's incredible the amount of woodworking tools that's in this small shop. I say small, it's actually probably pretty large by their standards. Lots of block planes line the wall, big smoothing planes, a few mallets. I'm not sure what the curved pieces up there are about. So if any of my unplugged woodworking buddies are watching, fill me in. Again, another type of motive power for a lathe is this spring pole. Whoop, it's in the rafters. It goes down to a cord that goes through the base of this lathe, and again, you have a treadle board that when you push it down, it goes up and down. And if you look, much simpler design. You simply took, come on camera, focus. You simply took a wrap around the workpiece you were actually turning, and the friction rotated the piece. So you had to be real good. This one just didn't go the same way all the time. It went one way one time, and then it flashed back and went the other way. Wow, that's unplugged at its best, guys. Some chisels, some calipers, some more odds and ends squares. Oh, that's a nice looking drawing knife back there. And then a collection of shaping blocks and furniture tools. They called some of these Cooper tools also. I'm not so sure about that, but nonetheless, look at that. I don't know if it'll focus real well or not. The lighting being what it is, that's pretty. So there you have it, kind of wandering around. I'm going to move quickly over here. This is an actual clock, a tower clock mechanism that came out of the Clinton County Courthouse. And there's all the mechanisms, the actual timing bell that would chime. And yes, it was fitted with an electric motor to make it go. Again, moving back into the past, some wooden troughs carved out of entire tree trunks, the early tools of the day, a broad axe, a couple of broad axes up on the wall, some serious logging chain. These are mining augers. In not being real familiar with early mining, I would guess that was what you used to install roof bolts, maybe, if they did such at that, or maybe just to dig out the seams of coal. Carbide for their lamps. I thought I saw a couple of old lamps in here somewhere. Oh, there we are. Yeah, there you go, guys. Some old carbide lamps. These would be carried attached to helmets, such as you see down here. And for any of you that aren't familiar, there was carbide goes in the bottom chamber of one of these lamps. Water goes in the top, and as it drips down into the carbide, it makes the gas that lights the flame inside the little reflector. So it's kind of like trying to walk around through your house with a candle on. You had an open flame. That was your source of light. I'm going to move quickly. I may even just pause the video since it's not wanting to stay in focus. Well, I know there's an upstairs. I hear Brenda tiptoeing around upstairs looking at stuff somewhere. Here we go again. More steps. Could turn into America's Funniest Home Video. I don't do steps real well. Look at this. All the old fishing implements. Fish traps, gigs. Hey Rolo, Beardo, I found your section, man. Man, look at these traps. Bear traps. Wow, that little fellow there looks like the guy that's in our backyard in Georgetown. I'm going to take just a second. There it goes. Get the camera to focus. I got a friend that would appreciate these traps and the critters that were probably caught in them at one time. A muskrat trap. Wow. An early bear trap. It says it's signed. Oh yeah, I see the maker's mark right there. There you have it. What about that? How'd you like to set that booger? Yes, the floor does squeak quite a lot up here. Come on. Stay with me, camera. There you go. Rat traps. Chicken catchers for hooking their leg. Early mole trap. My goodness. And then all of the different riding bits, stirrups. Come on, focus camera. Riding bits, saddle stirrups. Look at that. I'm going to swing around for a minute. Tobacco knives. And a lot of the tools that you see were actually made from other wore-out tools. Nothing got wasted. There wasn't a Lowe's on every corner. So if something broke, not at all unlike what my father would ask, can you fix it? If you can't fix it, can it be used for something else? And if it can't be used for something else, hey, has it got any kind of weight or scrap value? And if not, then you could throw it away. And that's the way it was there. All these tools were made from other wore-out tools. For instance, this froe on, focus camera, was made from a mattock. And this little toolbox was actually made from an old machine belt. See there, the rubber belt? The fire dogs that would have been in a fireplace in someone's home, well, you see it. Worn out wagon tires. It's a shame we've lost that same mentality of scarce resource management. Resources are scarce. That's when you need to be managing your resources, not waiting until you're without. Our government could take a hint from that. The things it took to harvest corn, and it is America's most important crop. Some cornfields were measured in how many gallons they could get out of an acre. A bunch of drawing knives. My goodness. Wow. I hope my unplugged woodworking guys are seeing this. Look at that. All kind of froze. You use the froze for riffing shingles, barrel staves, splitting staves. They have surveyor's tools. Every aspect of life that you would want to learn something about historically is probably somewhere in this museum. The sounds of Appalachia. Look at that. All the different types of bells. And I'd be willing to bet you each family could recognize its family's bell whenever livestock was moving through the woods. Anybody need a hammer? Look at this. Incredible. Then we move forward and get into the finer stuff, such as watch repair. Interesting old carriage. Come here. There you go. Focus up. I don't know. Does that count as a Surrey with fringe on top? Water was always something that you had to figure out how to move about in the mountains after you found it. This is an interesting thing. It's a wooden water pipe auger. You know, the water pipes of the day were not made of steel or PVC. They were actually made of wood. And if my camera would simply focus, it would be lovely. Now I'll do it this way then. There's the handle for the auger. We'll start on this end. There we go. One would turn the handle and it would take this long shaft which had a very unique looking bit. I don't know how much of a lead tip you would call that, but that bit would auger into and drill the round hole you see through the length of cedar pipe. And the long square log that's laying beside it in the background would be the mating pipe. It would then be, you would shape the end of the pipe to fit in the hole you just bored. Now the interesting thing about this is it has to be straight, has to go straight through, and you have to move and feed, pull it back, let it clear, drill. It'd be quite a process. But that was one way they moved water down off the mountain to where they needed it. And we've got a collection of barrels, jars, all manner of clay jars, crocks of all manner. I would say some of these, if not all, were handmade right there Look at that. Absolutely incredible. Remember the clock mechanism we looked at a minute ago? Well, let me back up and look, because there's the face of it. This was the clock that was on the courthouse. Well, I've wandered around in here and just kind of rambled on for almost 30 minutes now. I hope you enjoyed walking along. I'm going to back up and close out with one picture here. Appalachian folk art. These people in this time were isolated from many things in the world. And so the little bit of time they had that was leisure or spare time, they did actually create quite a few things that we view today as art. To them, at that time, it was an expression of their life, an expression of what everyday living was to them. And I'm going to try to look around real quick and let you see some of it. Hand-carved figures. Little wooden snakes back there. That's incredible. Lots and lots of things made perhaps as children's toys. These were dancing dolls. You usually had a stick in their back and you had a slap board that you made them dance.